Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible? If I am audible, please type yes in the comment box. So, in this session, we are going to cover the current affairs from the week that escaped the radar of our already comprehensive current affairs coverage under the weekly program. So, dear students, we are going to cover 5 topics today. The first is the US Fed rate hike. Recently, the Federal Reserve Bank of United States has increased the rate of interest due to inflationary causes. And then we will be discussing the presidential election that is going to happen in India in the month of July. Furthermore, we will be seeing an article related to NFTs, that is non-fungible tokens that appeared in the Yojana magazine of June 2022. Furthermore, we will be seeing what Nano Urea is. It is very important to cover this Nano Urea topic because it can be related to the agriculture part of the GS3 paper, and it can also be related to the science and technology, nanotechnology part of the GS3 paper only. Okay, science and technology ka nanotechnology we will be covering through this topic. And then we will be seeing an important international intergovernmental organization called the Financial Action Task Force, and we will be seeing what is the mandate of this organization and what is the relevance and the current affairs related to this. So let's begin. Okay, so the first important topic that we are going to discuss is that recently the United States of America Federal Reserve Bank has increased the rate of its economy. And what does this mean? See, during the COVID crisis, there was lockdown in all across the countries and continents. But during those lockdowns, what happened is that the markets were closed and people lost job. So, when people lost job, the demand in economy, it came down. And when demand came down, this has a deflationary effect. This deflationary effect means that the demand is down and the money circulation in the economy is already low. Okay, so what happened is that across countries, their central banks, they took measures to increase the demand and money supply in their economy. One such program was quantitative easing by the Federal Reserve Bank of United States of America. What it may sound complex, that quantitative easing as a term, it may sound complex, but quantitative easing is simply buying of bonds. Bonds by whom? Buying of bonds by the Federal Reserve Bank of United States. Okay, let's see what is a bond. A bond is a fixed income instrument. It is a fixed income instrument in which the borrower who takes the money, he or she promises that they will be giving back money to the investors after a certain amount of time and with a rate of interest. So, bond is simply a piece of paper. On which a face value is mentioned, that is what is the price of the bond. Furthermore, the rate of interest or the coupon rate is mentioned on that bond only, and what is the maturity period of that bond. That 3 things are mentioned on that bond. So, when the Federal Reserve Bank is buying that bond, what happened is that when you buy something, you go to a shop and you buy something, what do you give to the shopkeeper? You give money to them. Okay, so similar is the case when that bond was bought by the Federal Reserve Bank of United States of America. In exchange, it released dollars into the economy. And when it released dollars into the economy, it simply meant that the money supply in that economy is increasing. And when money supply in the economy increases, it means that the demand also increases. For example, you might be practicing the answer writing, okay, mains answer writing, and because of that, your ink cartridges, they finished off. So Now you go to the market and you have 100 rupees. Now would you buy an entirely new pen, or you would just buy a cartridge of pen from the shopkeeper? Okay. See, the logical thinking would be that you would buy only ink cartridge from the shopkeeper because you have 100 rupees. Now consider when you have 1000 rupees. What will you do? You might consider buying the whole pen. You might consider buying the whole pen from the shopkeeper. So what does this mean? It means that the demand has increased. Now you are buying the whole pen along with the body. So similar is the case. When the money supply in the economy increases, what happens is that the demand also increases, demand for different products and services. And because of this quantitative easing program during the COVID-19 crisis, when the money supply increased in the economy, it led to inflationary effects, inflationary impact. What is inflation? Inflation is general rise in price of goods and services across the economy. It is just what is called inflation, general rise in price of goods and services across the economy. Now that the COVID crisis is at its end, what is happening is that inflation is not ending. Inflation is still there. So the first aspect that we discussed is that because of quantitative easing program of the Federal Reserve Bank, there is inflation in the economy. So this is the first thing. Okay. Now consider the second thing. What happened is that you might be aware that there is a Russia-Ukraine crisis going on. Russia-Ukraine crisis going on, because of which the supply chains across the world are disturbed. You might have heard about the wheat scarcity across the world and the rising wheat prices. That is because the supply of the commodity is impacted. And when the supply of the commodity is impacted, when the supply decreases, then what does law of supply say? The law of supply says that if the supply is going down, then the price of the good or services, they will go up, because if the demand is constant and the supply is low, then what will happen? That the price of goods and services, they will go up. So we have discussed two things. First, the demand side inflation, and second, the supply side inflation. Because of both these two components, there is a inflationary effect going on in the economies across the world. Now please tell me in the comment box, how many of you are aware about the recent hike of repo rate by the Reserve Bank of India? Do you know about this? Please type in the comment box. Do you know about the Reserve Bank of India repo rate hike last week on June 8? Okay. So yes, Anusri is typing yes, they are aware. Okay. Mashinder Kumar ji, yes. Okay. So what happened is that on June 8, Reserve Bank of India, our own Reserve Bank of India, has also increased the repo rate in our economy by 50 basis point. 50 basis point means, please don't be confused by the term basis point. Okay. It is simply means 1/100th of a percentage. 1/100th of a percent. Okay, so if I say 1 basis point, it simply means 0.01%. Okay, now when I say 50 basis point, it means that the repo rate has been increased by 0.5% by the Reserve Bank of India. Okay. Okay. Mr. Zeal is typing that it has been increased by 4.4% and now it is 4.4%. No, please update your facts. It is 4.9% now. The recent increase, that was in the previous month only. This month it has also increased by 0.5% and now it has been increased to 4.9%. Okay. So yes, as we were talking about that there is inflation going on across the world. So the central banks of different countries, they are taking measures to reduce those inflation, because inflation harms the poor. If the price of goods and services are increasing, that the poor population would not be able to access the basic goods and services that they need. Okay. So Students, imagine yourself driving a car. Okay, imagine yourself driving a car. Now when the car is going too fast, what will you do? Will you press the brake pedal or will you press the gas pedal? Please answer. If the car is going too fast, will you press the brake pedal or gas pedal? The logic says that yes, we should press the brake pedal. And if the car is going too slow, then you will press the gas pedal only. Okay. So similar is the case with monetary policy of a country. The person driving the car is the central bank of that country. The speed of that car is inflation, and the brake pedal and gas pedal, they are similar to the tools used by the central bank to control the speed, to control the inflation. Now during the COVID crisis, the car was going too slow. So what the central banks across the countries did? They pressed the gas pedal. How did they press the gas pedal? By releasing money into their economies, releasing money supply into their economy. And now that there is inflation, now they are pressing the brake pedal to reduce the inflation, okay, by reducing the money supply. What is the impact of hike in repo rate by Reserve Bank of India? It only means that the money supply will come down in our economy. Similar is the case with the US Fed rate hike. It only means that the money supply will come down. So anyway, moving on, let's see what all happened. So this is the news related to that US Fed rate hike, that it has been increased by 0.7%, okay, and it is the highest increase in the last 28 years. It has been the highest increase in the last 28 years. The last such increase was in 1994. Okay. Now see, like other central banks, the Reserve Bank of India, the US Fed conducts monetary policy. Okay, they also have their own monetary policy, and to control the availability and cost of credit, they control the interest in their economy. Now see, if the interest rate in their economy is going up, what will happen to the cost of borrowing? Will the cost of borrowing increase or will the cost of borrowing decrease? If the interest rate is going up in an economy, will you consider taking a loan or not? When will you take more loan? When the interest rate is high or when the interest rate is low? Please type in the comment box. You will take more loan when the interest rate is low. See, okay, Mr. Mishinder Kumar has the correct answer. When the interest rate is high, then the loan taking capacity of people will be low. Then the borrowing will be low. Okay, borrowing will be low. Now see, when the borrowing is low, it means that the money supply, that the supply of money, will it increase in the economy or will it decrease? Please tell me the answer. Will the money supply in the economy, will it increase or will it decrease? Money supply decrease, sir. Mishinder Kumar, yes, correct answer. Please type the answer in comment box. Yes, money supply will go down, that is, it will decrease. Okay. Now apply your logic. When the money supply in the economy comes down, what will happen to the inflation? Will it go up or will it go down? It is you guys only that is answering the questions. Please type in the comment box. With the decrease in money supply, will the inflation go up? That is, will the inflation increase or will the inflation go down? Yes, down. Mr. Zeal is also saying that it will go down. Mr. Rohit also saying that it will go down. Miss Anusri, pardon me if I am wrong. No, it will not go up. See, if the money supply is decreasing, I just gave you the example of a pen. If you have more money, then you will buy the whole pen. And if you have less money, then you will buy only the ink cartridge of it. Okay. So, if the money supply in the economy is decreasing, then you will consider buying less things. Okay. And because of demand is low, then what will happen to the inflation? The inflation will also come down. Okay. Is it clear, Miss or Mr. Anusri? Okay. Then inflation will also go down. So this is the basic philosophy behind which the Reserve Bank of India has increased the repo rate, and this is the basic philosophy behind which the US Federal Reserve Bank has increased the rate of interest in their economy. Okay, see, this slide only says the Fed's primary tool of monetary policy is the federal fund rate, changes in which influence other interest rates, which in turn influence the borrowing costs, okay, for households and business. Okay, so if the borrowing cost increases, then people will take less loans. Now let's move on. It is also about the US Fed rate hike. The Federal Reserve Bank raised its target interest by 0.75%, that is 0.75% that we discussed. It is the highest or biggest rate hike done by the US Central Bank, and they give the reason that inflation remains elevated, reflecting supply and demand imbalances related to the pandemic, higher energy prices and broader price pressures. See, this is the reason that they are giving for the rate hike. And what we just discussed before this slide was this only, that there is a demand side reason that there is excess of money supply in the economy, and there is a supply side reason being the Russia-Ukraine crisis that is going on, and because of which the supply chains are impacted across the world. Okay, so this is what they are talking about, reflecting the supply and demand imbalances. Okay, do you understand? Now, as we were talking about, you are also aware about the recent hike of interest rate by the Reserve Bank of India. Yes, are you all aware that it has been increased to 4.9%? So Reserve Bank of India undertook the similar actions during the COVID-19 crisis, such as it granted rupees 66,000 crores for a special refinancing facility to all India financial institutions such as NABARD, such as National Housing Bank. It provided a liquidity facility of rupees 50,000 crores towards healthcare infrastructure. It provided liquidity window for contact intensive sectors such as tourism, and it undertook a very special program called the Government Securities Acquisition Program, that is GSAP. See, the students are mentioning this here because this program is very much similar to what quantitative easing was doing in the USA. In this program also, the Reserve Bank of India was buying government securities from the market, from the secondary market. The Reserve Bank of India was buying government securities from the secondary market. Okay, and see, please answer me this: if the government securities are being bought by the Reserve Bank of India, will the money supply in the economy increase or decrease? See, the prelims questions that come in the prelims examination every year, they are of this relativistic nature only, that is, will this thing go down or will this thing go up? Okay, if you exercise this in economy, in Indian economy, I am sure that you will crack these questions. So please now answer this: if the Reserve Bank of India is buying government securities from the market, will the money supply go up or go down? Miss Shreya Dikshit is answering money supply will increase. Very good. Mashinder Kumar is also answering up, sir. Okay. Kirti, up. Yes. Okay. Your facts are clear. Your concepts are clear. That is, yes, the money supply will increase because RBI is buying these government securities by giving out money only. No. So if the money supply is in economy is increasing, then what will happen to inflation? Will the inflation go up or will it go down? Yes, please answer. Up. Okay, yeah, your concepts are clear now. So this is why, this is one of the reasons that RBI was also increasing its repo rate. Yes, it will go up. Very good. Anyway, causes we have already discussed. Supply side cause and demand side cause we have discussed only, that the rate hike was due to inflationary causes in their economy, and that is why they increased their rate. Okay. We already discussed this. Now see, this is related to this relativistic nature of questions only. Interest rate hike, it becomes expensive to borrow, for both households as well as government. Now see, households buy less and businesses expend less. Less jobs are created. Demand for goods and services, they will also go down, because if the businesses are not expanding, people will not get jobs, their salary will not increase, and because of which the demand of goods and services, they will also go down. And when demand for goods and services go down, then what is the law of demand says? If the demand is less, what will happen to the price? Will the price increase or will the price decrease? If the demand is less, what will happen to the price of goods and services? Will the price go up or down? Yes, Shreya Dikshit, right? It will decrease. Decrease. Okay, Mr. Mushinder Kumar is also having the right answer. 2021 also decrease. Yes. So, your concepts are clear that the inflation will go down. So, do you understand the nature of relation between the interest rate hike and inflation? Do you all understand it now? Please type yes in the comment box if you do understand what is the relation between interest rate hike and inflation in an economy. Okay. Okay, very good. Now see, one more thing that you need to notice is that India is an emerging economy. When an economy is growing, that inflation levels in that economy are also high, because there is a certain relation between growth and inflation. We just now discussed that it is the deflationary spiral, that this is leading to deflation. But consider, if there is expansion in businesses, okay, if there is expansion in businesses, there is expansion in money supply, it only means that the economy is also growing, okay. And because the economy is growing, there is a relation that inflation in that economy is also moderate level. See, developed countries like USA, they have historically low rate of inflation, but India as an emerging economy, they have high rate of inflation and they have high rate of interest on their investments. Okay, what I want to say is that there is low rate of interest offering, low rate of interest offering in USA, and there is high rate of interest offering in India. India offers high rate of interest on its investments. See, now you have two banks. Consider you want to open a savings bank account. Okay. Now you have PNB and you have SBI. PNB is offering you 3% rate of interest. Okay, but its branch is near to you. Okay, and SBI is offering you 5% rate of interest and its branch is in another city only. Let's consider there are two branches only in this economy. PNB is offering you 3% rate of interest, 3% rate of interest, and SBI is offering you 5% rate of interest. But its branch is far off location and PNB branch is in your city only. So there is certain inconvenience related to your savings account if you have to go to other city to make withdrawals or invest. But PNB is offering you 3%. So what will you do? See, logically, if you are after money, you want to make gains from your investment, you will consider that I should invest in this 5% savings bank account. Okay, so similar is the thinking of people in USA. What happens is that they take loans from US at low rate of interest, and what they do is that they invest their loans in India, which offers high rate of interest on the investments. Okay, do you understand this? See, what I am saying is that people from USA, they take loans from their country which offers low rate of interest, and they invest their loans in India which offers high rate of interest on its investment. Okay, we will see in the next slide how this impacts, but first see this. They are taking loans at low rate of interest and they are making investment in an economy which offers high rate of interest. So they are making advantage, they are benefiting from this gap in rate of interest. SBI, if the investment is long term, PNB if it has to be short term. Okay, 2021, yes. Okay sir, got the point. Okay, so let's see. It was an important information that you will see what was the relevance of this information in the next slide. Okay, we will now see what is the impact of rate hike. We already saw that if rate of interest they go up, what happens is that the cost of borrowing, it will also go up. Okay, it will, cost of financing will also go up. ठीक है. Now see, the thing I told you before, that US is offering low rate of interest and India is offering high rate of interest. ठीक है. Now the US Federal Reserve Bank, it has just increased its rate of interest. Okay, now let's consider it was offering 2% rate of interest, just for as an example, and India was offering 5% rate of interest on the investments. Now the gap has narrowed. Now 2.75% rate of interest it is offering, and India is still offering the same rate of interest. Then what will happen is that they will consider taking their investment out of this economy, that is India. They will consider taking their investment out of this economy, that is India, and invest in their home country only, because it is more convenient for them, it is more safe for them. Okay, furthermore, the gap of loans that they were taking before, it has also decreased, so there will be less profit for them. So they will consider that yes, we should invest in our country only, because it is now also offering attractive rate of interest. That is why capital outflows will happen when US Federal Reserve Bank will increase the rate of interest in its economy. So this is the second impact of US Fed rate hike. Now the third thing is that what is the impact of rupee? Now apply the logic of law of supply and demand to this also. Okay, you will answer this only, you will answer only this. If capital outflows are happening, okay, if capital outflows are happening in an economy, then we have two currencies, rupee and dollar. If capital outflows is happening, that is people are taking out dollar from the economy, that is they are taking out dollars from India, out of India. ठीक है? Will the number of dollars in India they go down or they will go up? Will they go down or will they go up? The number of dollars in case of capital outflows, if people are taking dollars out of our economy, will the number of dollars in our economy, will they go down or will they go up? Ms. Kirti is answering down. Shreya Dikshit, yes, down, correct answer. Okay, now the supply of dollar decreased. Okay, no, Miss Anushree, that will not go up, because people are taking out dollars from our economy. They are taking out the dollars, they are not putting in dollars. Okay, so the number of dollars in our economy, they will go up, go down. Okay, and the number of rupee, it will remain the same, just for the sake of this example. So what will happen is that which will become more valuable, the dollar or rupee? What is a valuable thing? Valuable thing is when the resource is scarce. Okay, so which will become more valuable? Will the dollar become more valuable or will the rupee become more valuable? Dollar will become more valuable, right? Mr. Mashinder Kumar is having the right answer. Dollar will become more valuable, and this is what the meaning of this statement only. What will be the impact on rupee? Rupee value against the dollar will come under pressure due to the capital outflows. That the value of rupee will decrease. The value of rupee will decrease when it is compared to dollars, and that is why the capital outflows is happening. The impact of rupee will, that the value of rupee will decrease. Do you understand this concept? Please type yes in the comment box if you understand this concept. Okay, so yes, now what will happen? Costly resource mobilization, it is related to that only, that the cost of borrowing will increase. So resource mobilization by manufacturers, by industrialists, it will also increase. Okay, costly resource mobilization. And one negative impact there is also there, it will lead to slowdown. See, deflation is related to slowdowns, inflation is related to growth in an economy. Okay, when a high rate of interest by Fed would also mean that lower impetus to growth in the US. How lower growth? Now industrialists will not take loans, they will prefer that they do not take loans, because the rate of interest on those loans is going up. So if they are not taking loans, they will not expand their business, and that is why a slowdown may take place because of the US Federal Reserve rate hike. Do you understand this also? So these are the impacts of rate hike. Now, while this is be true for the US Federal Reserve Bank, our own Reserve Bank of India has also increased the repo rate, that is having such same effects only. Okay. Okay. All the students who are present here, I see that your concepts are really clear. Keep answering in the comment box. Now, this is one of the question from the Prelims 2022. Now, let's see how many of you can answer the first statement of this question. Please read this. Tight monetary policy of US Federal Reserve could lead to capital flight. This came, someone is asking, Ms. Kirti is asking, sir, can you explain impact on rupee again, please? See, Kirti, what happened is that there is capital outflow. People are taking dollars out of the economy. Now the number of dollars or the quantity of dollars, it is decreasing in our economy. Okay? That is why the value of dollar will increase. Value of dollar will increase because there are less dollars now because of the supply and demand dynamics. Do you understand it now? Okay. Now, moving on. UPSC Prelims 2022 question. It is the latest question that came in this paper only, this year only, on 5th June. Tight monetary policy of US Federal Reserve could lead to capital flight. Tight monetary policy, it essentially means that the US Federal Reserve Bank is holding the money tight, that it is trying to decrease the money supply. It is trying to decrease the money supply. In this concept, when we discussed the US Federal Reserve Bank has increased the rate, then what we were talking about essentially was that it is a tight monetary policy because it is trying to decrease the monetary supply, money supply in the economy. So this is what the meaning of tight monetary policy is. So read the statement again. Tight monetary policy of US Federal Reserve. US Federal Reserve could lead to capital flight. Is it a true statement or is it a wrong statement? Mr. Mashinder Kumar is answering that it is wrong. Okay. Let's see what are the answers of other students here. See, again see, Mr. Vishwas is answering that it is a true statement. Capital flight means that there is capital outflow. Capital flight means, what is the meaning of the word? Capital flight. It is going out of our economy. Capital outflow. Miss Shreya Dikshit is answering that it's true. Okay. True statement. Miss Kirti is saying. Mr. Zeal is saying that it is a false statement. Okay. See, in this news, in this latest news, we discussed this concept only, that US Federal Reserve rate hike is a part of tight monetary policy because it is trying to decrease the money supply in the economy. And when it is increasing the rate of interest in its economy, capital outflow is happening. We just learned this in last slide only, that capital outflows is happening because there is a rate of interest hike in the US economy. Okay. So, if a tight monetary policy is being followed by the US Federal Reserve, then it will lead to capital flight only. It is a true statement. It is a true statement. It is a true statement. Okay. Do you understand what is the concept behind this statement, students? If it is still not clear, please you can ask me. It is a true statement, but that tight monetary policy of US Federal Reserve could lead to capital flight. See, tight monetary policy we just discussed, it is when the US Federal Reserve tries to decrease the money supply, tries to tighten the money supply in its economy, And how does it decrease the money supply? By increasing rate of interest. By increasing rate of interest, and when interest rate in US increase, the capital outflows will occur from our economy. Do you understand, Mr. Mashindra Kumar? Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next news. Okay. And if you want to find the answer of this question, because we taught only one concept of this question, so that is why I was asking whether the first statement is true or not. If you want to find the answer, you can check the link in our description below later after the end of this video. Anyway, moving on, let's see what is the answer of this prelims question from UPSC 2021. That was from this year, it is from previous year, that Indian government bond yields are influenced by which of the following? Which of the following? Actions of the United States Federal Reserve, actions of the Reserve Bank of India, inflation and short-term interest rates. I'll repeat the question. Indian government bond yields are influenced by which of the following? Actions of the United States Federal Reserve. Is it influenced by the actions of United States Federal Reserve or not? Just answer that whether the first statement is true or not. Just answer this. You don't have to answer the whole question. You just answer this first statement is true or not. Is it true? Yes. Mr. Quick Facts is answering. Yes. True. Gopi Megh, Mashindra Kumar, true sir. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Good. Then your concepts are clear. It is from 2021, and the answer of this question, some of you have already had the right answer, that is D. Yes, it is the right answer. It is D from the official answer key of UPSC. So, okay. Now, let's move on to the next news. We have discussed the US Fed rate hike. Now, we will discuss the elections of the President of India. See, we are living in a republic. Earlier in medieval and ancient ages, what used to happen, that the king, they used to claim their power from the gods, that they have divine right to rule over us. But not now. Now we have democracy. Now we have republicanism. That is, we, the people, they elect the president or the head of a state of their countries. And same is the truth with the statement of related to India only, that we elect our president. But answer in the comment box, do we directly elect our president or not? Do we directly elect our president or not? No sir, Mr. Mashindra Kumar is answering no. Shreya Dikshit is also answering no. No. Okay, very good. We don't directly elect our president. There is a system of indirect election of our president, and that is what we going to discuss in this next news. See, this is the notification released by the Election Commission of India regarding the schedule for election. Okay. See, under subsection 1, section 4 of Presidential and Vice Presidential Elections Act 1952, the schedule for election of the President of India is given below. Now, first thing that you need to note here is that there is a separate act for the election of President and Vice President. Now, when we elect our legislators, that is member of parliaments, then what is the name of that act? What is the name of that act related to the election of our representatives in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha? What is the name of that act? Does anybody know? Because the act has been mentioned in the UPSC syllabus of GS paper 2. The act itself has been mentioned. It's called Representation of People's Act. Representation of People's Act. See, the first thing that you need to note here is that there is a separate act for the election of President and Vice President of our country, and this is the schedule given by the Election Commission of India, which is not important for us. So, let's move to see what is the nature of election of our president. Okay. So, the tenure of our current president is going to end in July, and the Election Commission of India has notified the dates of next election the president is a part of parliament. The first thing that you need to note here is that the parliament consists of Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha and the president. Many students, they forget that the parliament they think that parliament only consists of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, but it also consists of our president. Okay, it is a key part of our parliament, and then he has the power to call the two houses of parliament. A bill passed by Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha becomes a law only when the president gives his or her assent. Okay, and then parliament is not in session, president can issue ordinance. They can issue ordinance that is similar to the law, but which has to be passed by the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha when it comes in session at a later date, but he or she has power to pass the ordinance. Okay, so this was something related to the president. Now let's move on to see who elects the president. It can come as a question in prelims. It is a very popular thing. See, who can elect the president? Can the nominated members of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, can they elect the president? Please answer. Gopi Megh is answering no. Yes, very good. Mr. Mashinder Kumar is also saying no, they can't elect. Okay, no. Yes, they cannot elect, because the election of president is done by member of parliament and member of legislative assembly who are elected only. Elected members. Okay, elected members. That is why we can source our authority to the president, because we are electing these representatives and they are electing our president. Okay, if the nominated members are electing president, that there is a conflict of interest. No. Who nominates 12 members to Rajya Sabha? Who nominates 12 members to Rajya Sabha? President only. Yes, very good. President only. So that is why we use only elected member of parliament and legislative assemblies to elect the president. Now my second question is whether the member of legislative council participate in the election of president or not. No sir, no sir. Okay, Ayush is saying no. Mashinder Kumar is saying no sir. Okay. Please answer, please participate. Yes. So all of you have the right answer, that the member of legislative council cannot participate in the election of president, because first thing that you need to remember is that legislative councils are not present in all of the states. Okay. You can remember this fact by remembering that legislative councils are not present in all of the states. Okay. So we have seen that nominated members do not participate and legislative council member do not participate. Okay, but who can participate? Elected representatives from the union territories of Delhi and Puducherry. Okay, Delhi and Puducherry, they can participate. Elected members from the legislative assembly of Delhi and Puducherry. Is this clear to all of you? Is this clear? I hope this is clear. Okay, let's move on. Okay, yeah. So the election of president, it is facilitated by 50 proposers and 50 seconders. Let's see what is the philosophy behind having proposers and seconders. This can also come as a question in prelims. See, proposers are those who propose the name of a candidate for an election. Okay. So these 50 proposers are the electors only. Say 50 member of parliaments come and they say that we are proposing this name. Okay. So these are proposers. These are proposers. And 50 more members come and say that yes, we support the name of this candidate, the same candidate only. They are called seconders. Now this was not a ritual. But we can say that this was not a ritual at the beginning of our constitution. That is that the system of proposers and seconders was not present from 1950. It was introduced at a later date because there were very non-serious candidates that were participating in the election of president. okay, who had no chance of winning the election, but they still participated in that. So to curb that thing, we started a system of proposers and seconders. Okay, so this is the philosophy. In 1997, the number of proposers and seconders was increased to 50 and 50 respectively, and a security deposit of 15,000 was introduced. See, this factual information is not necessary, but what you need to understand is that the system of proposers and seconders was not present since the beginning of our constitution. Okay. Now, let's see how are the votes calculated. It's a very important thing to learn this. See, a presidential election uses a special voting to tally the votes. A different voting weightage is assigned to an MP and MLA. Now, the first thing that you need to know is the value of vote of an MP and the value of vote of an MLA. It is not equal. It is not equal. We will see how they are not equal, but first thing that you need to understand is that the value of vote of an MP and the value of vote of an MLA is not equal. Okay. Now, logic should tell you that it should not be equal only, because MLA is from a legislative assembly constituency and MP is elected from a member of parliament constituency. Member of parliament constituency is bigger than MLA constituency. Okay, so their value cannot be equal. But let's see what happens. The value of each MLA's vote is determined based on the population of their state and the number of MLAs. Okay. The population of that state is considered when we are calculating the value of vote of that MLA. Why the population is being considered? Please give me this logic. Why? Because we try to maintain the philosophy of indirect election, that we should be having equal representation of citizens of India across the country. Okay. So it should not happen that if a state is having more number of MLA, it should be having more power to participate in the presidential election. Do you understand this? Let's see the formula. We will be discussing the formula shortly. Let's wait. So, due to the constitutional amendment passed in 2002, the population that is considered for calculating the value of vote of an MLA, it is from the 1972 census, 1971 census, I beg your pardon, 1971 census. Okay. Then the value of vote of MP is sum of all vote of MLA across the country divided by the number of elected MPs. Okay. Number of elected MPs. This all will become clear in the next slide. Let's see. See, let's consider the case of Uttar Pradesh. Let's consider the case of Uttar Pradesh. In its legislative assembly, there are 403 MLAs. 403 MLAs. As per the 1971 census, there was a population of 8 crore 38 lakh something. Okay, and the value of vote of each MLA came out to be around 208. Okay. What happened is that we divided this number by this number to arrive at this number. When you divide 8 crore 38 lakhs by this, then you will get the value of vote of each MLA. Okay. We should be having 1000 as a ratio to, that is why the 208 is arriving. But anyway, and the total value of votes for the state is again arrived by multiplying this to the 403, and then you will be getting this. Then you will be getting this number. Do you understand this? Do you understand that number of assembly seats are 403 and the population is the value of vote of each MLA, and then we calculate the total value of votes for that state only. Okay. So that is why the value of vote of MLA in Uttar Pradesh is 208. Value of vote of an MLA in Uttar Pradesh is 208. Okay. Please type yes in the comment box if you understand this concept. Okay. So this is the value of vote of an MLA in Uttar Pradesh. Okay, and total value of for the state is this. Now there are so many states in India. We calculate their sum as this. This is the total value of votes for all the states across India. For all the states across India. Now go back to the previous slide. See, what is the value of an MP's vote? What is the value of an MP's vote? It is the sum of all votes of MLAs across the country divided by the number of elected MPs. Number of elected MPs. Okay. Now calculate the value of vote, value of MP's vote. Value of MP's vote. Please, this might be difficult for you to understand, but if you get this concept once, then you will never forget it. Okay. So hang on. Total value is this. Now, how many MPs are there? How many MPs are there? There are 245 in Rajya Sabha, of which how many are elected? 245 are there, of which how many are nominated? I'm sorry. How many are nominated? 12 are nominated. Yes, very good. 233 are elected. Ayush is having the correct answer, and Mr. Mushinder Kumar is also having the right answer. Okay, so there are 245 minus 12, 233 from Rajya Sabha. Okay, and from Lok Sabha, how many are there who are elected? Who are nominated? 2. Yes, correct. So after deducting this 2, 545 minus 2, we get 543. Good. 543. Now, what is the sum total of this? What is the sum total of this? 6, 7 and 7. Right? Seven, 7, 6. Okay. So this is the sum total of all the member of parliament who are elected. Now, if I have to get the value of one MP's vote, what I simply do is that divide this by 776. Okay. Divide this by 776, and I will be getting the answer of around 708. 708, and this is what the value of one MP's vote is. Now see whether the value of vote of one MP is equivalent to member of legislative assembly or not. It is in front of you only. The value of vote of one MP is 708, that is coming out, and the value of vote of each MLA is 208. In Uttar Pradesh, in Sikkim it was 7, so it is not equal. Okay, so hence we prove our thing that the value of vote of one MP is not equal to value of vote of one MLA. Is this concept clear to everyone? And this is how we calculate the value of vote. Okay. Okay, yes, okay. So this concept is very important to understand. In fact, in the chapter of president, it is one of the most important concept only. Okay. Now let's see what is the number of votes required to win. What is the number of votes required to win? The voting for the presidential election is done through the system of single transferable vote. In this system, electors rank the candidates in order of their preference. The winning candidates must secure more than half of the total value. Okay. Now we will discuss this statement. This is quota. Okay students, answer me this. When you go to vote in a legislative assembly elections or a member of parliament election, what is the system of election followed there? What is the system of election followed there? Who wins the election? Whether it is the candidate who wins gets more 50% of the vote, or is it the candidate who gets most of the votes? Who gets more vote than the other person? Who wins? Yes, FPTP, first past the post system. Yes, it's a correct answer. Who gets maximum votes? Very right. Mushinder Kumar is also having the right answer. Who gets maximum vote? Okay. Good. But in the system of election of president, it is not true. The system of election in this is proportional representation, single transferable vote. The person who wins, who has to win in this election, has to get more than 50% of the votes. Okay. has to get more than 50% of the votes. Now let's see how. First is that the quota, total value of MP's vote, total value of MLA's votes. So this thing in the numerator, it actually means that the total value of the votes of the electors only. These two are the electors only, now MPs and MLA. So the numerator is having the total value of votes of the electors only. Okay. Okay. Do you understand this? These are the electors, and then we divide it by 2 plus 1. Okay. Plus 1. We will be seeing how single transferable vote system works. Now let's see. Consider an election that is going to happen because of this system, using this system only. Okay. Using this system only, there is an election going on. Okay. Only 10 people are participating. There are 3 candidates only. First is A, second is B, and third is C. Okay. Now this election has to happen using this single transferable vote system. I have already prepared the chit so that you can understand easily. This is how a ballot paper will look like. You will be mentioning your preferences. For example, in this ballot paper, a person has marked first preference to A, second preference to B, and third to C. Can you see this? Can you see this? That the first preference has been marked for A, second for B, and third for C. Please type yes in the comment box if you can see this ballot paper. Okay. Now see, there are 10 people who are voting. So the first ballot paper has A as a preference. Okay. So I will put it in the ballot box of A. You might not be able to see, so I will be reciting what is the preference of different votes. In this ballot paper, see, the first ballot paper has preference for A. Okay. In this ballot paper, there is a first preference for C. Okay. So the vote will go to C. One vote will go to C. Okay. Now in this, the first preference is for B. The first preference in this ballot is for B. So the vote will be going to B. Okay. Now 3 votes have been casted. Fourth, the first preference is for A. The vote will be going to A only. So one more vote for A. And then we have another ballot which has first preference for A. The vote is going to A. Then there is another ballot in which the first preference is for C. The vote will be going to C. Okay. Now we will be putting it here. Now the next ballot, the first preference is A. The vote is going to A. The next ballot, the first preference is B. The vote is going to B. Yes, it is going to B. Okay. Then next preference 1 is for B. The vote will be going again to B. And the last ballot paper, that is the 10th voter, he or she has also marked B as their first preference. So the vote will be going to B only. Okay. Now count. A has 4 votes, B has 4 votes, C has 2 votes. So this is the round 1. Round 1 of election. Okay. Now calculate the quota for this election first. How many are there? How many electors are there? How many voters are there? Please type in the comment box. Please type in the comment box how many voters are there in this election. 10 voters are there. Shreya Dikshit is answering the correct answer. Yes, 10 voters are there. Okay. Yes, 10 are there. 10 by 2 plus 1. Using this formula for finding out quota, what will the answer come out to be? Please answer. What will be the answer of quota? No, not 5.5. This 1 is after this fraction. 6. Mr. Mashinder Kumar, the addition is after the fraction. Please look at this. 6. Okay. Most of you are having the right answer that the quota is 6. Now, a winning candidate has to have 6 votes to win the election. Okay, the winning candidate has to have 6 votes to win this election. Is any one of the candidate is having 6 votes? Is any candidate having 6 votes? Yes or no? No, sir. Okay. No one is having 6 votes here. So we will have to consider round 2 of this election. Now, what will happen in round 2? What will happen in round 2 is that the person who is having the least amount of votes, their candidature will be cancelled and the ballot paper will be seen, and the person who has marked second preference, the candidate who has been marked as second preference, their vote will go to them. Let's see who has got the least votes here. Who has got the least votes here? Please type in the comment box. Yes, it is C. C has got the least votes here. So we will take out the ballots of C. We will take out the ballots of C and we will see that what the elector or the voter has marked as their second preference. In their second preference, as in this ballot paper, we can see A has been marked as second preference. A has been marked as second preference. Okay. So C is out of the election. Now this vote, this ballot paper vote, it will go to A because it is the second preference. Okay. Similarly, the other ballot paper, it also shows that A has been marked as second preference. So this vote will also go to A. And C is out of the election anyway. So let's cut him. Okay. Do you understand this? Now A has 6 votes and B has 4 votes. Now students, tell me who has won the election? Who has achieved the quota? A has achieved the quota. Yes? Yes? A is the winner here. A is the winner here in the round 2. Okay? And that is how single transferable vote system works. Because we are transferring this single vote to the next preference. And that is how this works. Do you understand this now? Is the concept clear? Please type in the comment box. Is the concept clear to you now? Okay, it's clear. So this is what happens in the election of president only. Okay. Now let's move on to see what is next. How counting takes place. We already discussed this. The counting of votes takes place in rounds. In round 1, only the first preference marked on each ballot is counted. Okay. And then if no candidate secure the quota, then round 2 takes place. We already discussed this. Okay. And this process is repeated till only one candidate remains. Okay. But one important thing to note about a presidential election is that the anti-defection law does not apply here. Does not apply here. That is, the elector, they can go against the will of their political party to vote as per their conscience. Okay. Please note it down somewhere if you are making notes, that the anti-defection law does not apply to the presidential election. It does not apply to the presidential election. So, is it clear? Okay. Let's move on. Now, these are some facts for the prelims, okay, that you might want to remember, is that the first presidential election which elected, fifth presidential election which elected Mr. V.V. Giri, is the only instance when a candidate did not secure the quota in the first round. So what generally happens is that the quota is secured in the first round only. We do not need to go in the second round. For example, when we were discussing here that we needed to go to the second round because no one in first round secured the quota. But Mr. V.V. Giri's election was only that instance when round 2 also did happen. Otherwise, the election was won by the candidate in round 1 only because they secured the quota in that only. Okay. And the second fact is that Mr. Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy is the only president to be elected unopposed. To be elected unopposed, and when 37 candidates filed their nomination, 36 candidatures were rejected. So he was elected unopposed. Okay, this is the second fact that can come as a statement in prelims examination. Okay. Now this is question from the UPSC Prelims 2018 students. You can answer this question in totality. Please read the first statement. It says that the value of vote of each MLA varies from state to state. And the second statement is that the value of vote of MPs of Lok Sabha is more than the value of vote of MPs of Rajya Sabha. Now these two statements you can validate or invalidate using the logic that you learnt in this section. Please answer this question. Yes, a president can get second term. There's no issue in that. Only in USA there's a bar that a president can be president for 2 terms only. After that he or she will have to demit the office. Okay, answers are coming. Mr. Ayush Kaushik is saying the answer is C, that is both 1 and 2. C. Question is asking which are correct. Which are correct. Okay. Is the first statement correct? Option 1 A. Gopi Meg is saying C. Mashinder Kumar is saying A. Mr. Ayush is saying option 1. So, okay, Mr. Ayush, is the option 1 correct? Are you saying that 1 only is correct, or are you saying the both 1 and 2 are correct? A is correct. Okay. Ms. Riddhi Shai is saying only 2. Please read the question correctly. It is saying which of the statements is correct. It's not asking about not correct. Okay, let's see the answer from the UPSC answer key. It's A. It's A. That is, the value of vote of each MLA varies from state to state. We saw that how a value of vote of each MLA is calculated using the number of legislative assembly constituencies and the population of that state in the 1971 census. So it is only natural that different states will be having different number of constituencies and different population, and that is why their value will also differ. We saw that the value of vote of one MLA is 208 in Uttar Pradesh and only 7 in Sikkim. So see the divergence between the value of vote of each MLA. Okay, and the second statement it says that the value of vote of MPs of Lok Sabha is more than the value of vote of MPs in Rajya Sabha. Okay, value of vote of MPs of Lok Sabha is more than the value of vote of MPs in Rajya Sabha. Did we make any distinction between the value of vote of MLA or MPs of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha? When we were calculating the denominator 233 plus 543, we did not make any distinction between Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. So second statement is wrong. Okay, and that is why only A is correct. That is, only one statement is correct. So do you understand this concept? No. See, the statement is saying, Gopi Meg, the statement is saying the value of vote of MPs of Lok Sabha is more than the value of vote of MPs in Rajya Sabha. We are not making any distinction between the MPs of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. We are not making any distinction. We did not make any. See, when we calculated, we calculated the denominator as a whole as 776. We did not make any distinction between Rajya Sabha members and Lok Sabha members, and that is why the second statement is wrong. Okay, Gopi Meg. Okay, so let's move on to the next news. It is about non-fungible tokens. Non-fungible tokens. The news or this article can be mapped to Yojana magazine of June 2022. There's an article related to NFT explained, and it is an important thing to learn because in budget 2022 there was also something related to cryptocurrency as well as NFTs. This is your homework to find out what was that thing. There was a proposal to tax the cryptocurrency transaction and NFT transaction. It is your homework to find out what was mentioned in that. Please acknowledge this homework so that you may find out later. Type yes in the comment box if you understand your homework. Okay. So please find out what was the news related to cryptocurrency and NFT taxation in the budget of 2022. That is the recent budget. It's important. Okay. Anyway, so non-fungible tokens as a concept appeared in the Yojana magazine of this month. So we shall be discussing this. See, when you make a transaction, suppose you are making a UPI payment from yourself to your friend, okay, where that transaction is stored? It is stored at a centralized authority. Say you both are having same banks, such as say SBI, you both are having State Bank of India, you are transferring some money from yourself to your friend, rupees 5,000. So where will that money go? Money will be registered at a centralized authority, centralized record or ledger. It will be recorded at there only. Okay? Now suppose a scenario, if no one person is having that ledger and that ledger is distributed, okay, such as there are 1,000 people who are having the same ledger, and whenever you want to make a change in this ledger, whenever you want to make a change in this record, let's consider it a record only, okay, whenever you want to make a change in this record, you have to change it with 1,000 people, only then that record will be changed. Now tell me which one is more secure. Is this central record is secure, or this record, this distributed record is secure, that when you want to make some change, you have to make a change with all the 1,000 people? Which one is more secure, do you think? Please answer in the comment box. No, central can be changed by one authority. If you have to make a change in the record that is distributed, then you have to change it with 1,000 authorities or 1,000 people. Then distributed record is more secure, no? See, Mr. Mashendra Kumar, I am saying that if you are making a transaction, okay, and that has to be recorded, if that record is kept at one central position only, then is it more secure than a record that has been distributed to 1,000 people? And if you have to make any change in that record, then you have to change it with 1,000 people instead of one central thing only. Okay, most of the people are answering that center. Now let's understand the concept of blockchain to get a clearer vision of this. Let's see what happens, what I am trying to say. See, when you are trying to explain, when you are trying to understand the blockchain, it is simply explained by its name, that there is a block and then there is a chain. What is a block? A block is something that has data. A block also has a unique address. It also has a unique address. Okay. It also has a unique address. Now, when a transaction takes place, or you want to add something to the record, you add this block at the end of the already existing chain. Let's see how. A transaction is requested and authenticated. A block representing that transaction is then created. Okay, a block is representing that transaction. It has the data of that transaction and it has some address. It has some unique address. Okay, the block is sent to every node in the network. It is sent to every node in the network. Say there is a network of 1,000 people. 1000 people, then it is sent to the 1000 people. ठीक है, every node in the network, everyone is a node in that network. ठीक है, the nodes validate the transaction. Every one of 1000 people, they validate the transaction that yes, this transaction is correct. Do you understand it until now? Before I move further, please type yes in the comment box if you do, and please type no if you don't. Okay, Mr. Ayush is saying yes. What about other people? Do you understand? Okay. It will become more clearer to you. See, nodes validate that transaction. ठीक है? Let's not consider this right now. The transaction is validated. The block is added to the existing blockchain. ठीक है? That block is added to the existing blockchain and then it becomes a blockchain. No. And the update is distributed across the network and the transaction is completed. So this is how a transaction in a blockchain takes place. Now go back to the previous example, what I was saying. Now let's say a transaction is happening at a centralized record keeping. ठीक है? There is a centralized institution. ठीक है? A transaction takes place, it reflects in their record. It reflects in their record. Now, if one wants to change this record, they can change it easily at this. And the entire truth will be manipulated or modified. So please explain clearly, is this fungible means? Can we replace anything by another? Yes, we will be coming to that, Gopi Make. We will be coming to that only. But first, understand the concept of blockchain. See, the concept of cryptocurrency and the concept of non-fungible tokens, they are based on this blockchain only. They are based on this blockchain only. Okay? That is why we need to understand the blockchain. So come back to this. Now this transaction takes place, a record is created, and that record is created and placed at a central place. Okay? Now consider the another example. Consider the other example that a transaction takes place. Okay? And the information of that transaction is sent out to 1000 people. 1000, I am just taking as an example, it could be even millions. Okay, it is sent out to 1000 people. They validate the transaction, they calculate, they perform computations, and they validate that yes, this transaction is correct and it can be added to our record. Now those nodes of 1000 people have the record of this transaction, Now if any dishonest person wants to change that record, will it be easier for him or her to change it at one location only or to change it at 1000 location? Which will be easier for him or her, to change at one location only or 1000 people? Center is more easy. Okay, Mr. Mashinder Kumar is also saying that if a person wants to change the record, it is easier for them to change at one place only than 1000 place. Okay, so this is why we are saying that this distributed record is more secure. This is why the blockchain as a technology came up, to offer more secure solutions and to offer more decentralized solutions. See, in this centralized record keeping, there is one owner, but here no one is owner. Everyone is a node in the system. They are just validating the transaction, the block is added to that blockchain and things go on. There is no one central authority, and that is why we say that it is distributed. Answer me this question. Who is controlling the cryptocurrency? Who is controlling the cryptocurrency? You won't know. But who is controlling the Indian rupee? Who is controlling the Indian rupee? RBI? Yes. So that answers your question, that cryptocurrency based on blockchain is a distributed thing. No one is controlling it. But Indian rupee has one central authority called Reserve Bank of India. Okay, so this is the difference between the blockchain technology and the existing technologies. Okay, now let's see more about it by understanding more about non-fungible tokens. See, non-fungible tokens can be understood by breaking up the word. First non-fungible and the second is token. Okay, second is token. A token is anything. It can be art, it can be music, it can be an image, and it can be a video, or it can be a representation or reflection of some physical thing. So anything can be called a token, but it has to have an address. ठीक है, चलो हमने समझ लिया what is token. Now we will see what is non-fungible. What is non-fungible? What is non-fungible? Non-fungible simply means that when one thing cannot be replaced by another thing, we call it non-fungible. Let's take an example. You have a rupee 200 note, ठीक है, and your friend has a rupee 200 note, ठीक है. Now tell me this, can this rupee 200 note be exchanged for this rupee 200 rupee note or not? Can they be replaced? Can this rupee 200 note can be replaced by this note or not? Please answer. Yes, okay. (2021) is saying yes. Ms. Kirti is saying yes. Please everyone answer in the comment box, no? Okay, so these can be exchanged. These can be exchanged. Now consider something else, that I have a chair and you have a table. You have a table. Can we exchange this just like the we exchange rupees? Can we exchange chair and table like we exchange rupees? Their value is not equal. You can do it out of friendship, Gopi Make, but you cannot exchange it like that. Their values is not equal. Now let's say there is chair. Okay, let's say here your friend is having diamond and you are having chair. Will your friend give you diamond in exchange of chair? Okay, no, certainly not. So that is what we are discussing, that this is fungible because one thing can be replaced by something similar, but it is not fungible. Chair cannot be replaced by diamond, and same is the case with NFTs only. Non-fungible tokens are those digital objects that cannot be exchanged, but they have a proof of ownership. Proof of ownership is the keyword when we are discussing about NFTs. Proof of ownership is the keyword here when we are discussing about NFTs. What happens is that let's say you have an autograph of a very famous personality, a digital autograph of a very famous personality, and you want to say that I want to give the ownership of this autograph to some other person. Now how will you give that? How will you give that? The NFTs offer the solution. They say that you just sell it and we will create a record that this person now owns this autograph. Okay, that this person now owns this autograph. And that is what non-fungible tokens is all about. It is not very complex to understand. It is just a digital object that can be owned by someone. That is only NFTs only. You don't have to go in depth because it is a very complex thing when you go in depth. But upar se it is very simple to understand that it is a digital object which has a certificate of authenticity, which has a proof of ownership, that you can brag to your friend that yes, I own this, that yes, we own this. Let's see For example, I'll give you an example. This is the first ever tweet by the ex-owner of Twitter. Just setting up my Twitter. This tweet was sold at $2.9 million. 2.9 million students. It was sold at this price. It was sold at this price. And how can one sell their tweet? How can one sell their tweet? I am having this tweet on my screen. Can I say that I own this tweet? Can any one of you say that you own this tweet just because you have this tweet on your screen? But one person who bought it at $2.9 million, they can say that yes, I am the owner of this tweet. And how was it made possible? Through NFTs only. Because NFT has the property of being unique. It has the property of being unique. See, a contract was drawn up that it is an NFT. Okay. A block was created. In that block, there was data. Okay. There was address of that block. And that was added to the blockchain. And this is how NFT facilitated the transfer of ownership of this tweet. Do you understand it? That is how a tweet could have been sold. Otherwise, everyone can say that I can see this tweet, I have this on my screen, I own it. No, but NFTs made sure that only one person owned it, who actually paid for that tweet, who actually had their name and record in the blockchain in form of NFT. So this is what NFT is, students. Do you understand it? Do you understand it? Please type yes if you do and no if you don't. Ms. Kirti is saying yes. Mr. Mushinder Kumar is saying yes. Okay, let's move on. What is the benefit of NFT? First, it is unique. We just discussed it. Second, it is immutable. That is, it is very secure that it cannot be muted by just one person. Now, the seller of that tweet, he cannot say that I did not sell this tweet, because the transaction happened and is registered on a blockchain. Everyone now can see and know that yes, it is a transaction that took place and that tweet is now owned by other person. So it is immutable. No one can change the metadata of that token. No one can delete your image or the name of that token. Third benefit, the monetization. Now the artists, they can draw up sketches. The musicians, they can make music and sell them through NFTs. They can sell them through NFTs. No middlemen, no intermediary is required. They can create an NFT of their music and directly sell it to the willing buyers. Okay. And the fourth benefit is protecting intellectual property rights of the artisans. Okay. Intellectual property rights is protected because it is unique. Okay. Only one person can own it now. Do you understand the benefits of NFTs, student? Okay, let's move on. What are the application of NFTs? These are fairly easy to understand. Music, I beg your pardon. Just a minute. Music, we just saw how musicians can create music and sell NFTs of that. Metaverse. Metaverse is simply a virtual universe where you can own things. For example, that Facebook was planning to design a metaverse and has designed a metaverse where people can own land in that virtual universe. Now consider this. There is a metaverse that is a virtual world. You want to say that this building in that virtual world belongs to me. How can that be made possible? Through NFTs only, because NFTs can provide proof of ownership in that virtual world. Okay. The third application is sports collectibles. Okay. So this is how the NFTs can provide and facilitate for the musicians, sports and other things. So this is what the benefit of NFT is, and this is what their application is. How is it different from the cryptocurrency? It is a very important difference. Can one Bitcoin be exchanged for other Bitcoin? Please answer yes or no. What's your answer? Can one Bitcoin be exchanged for the other Bitcoin? Gopi Meg is saying yes. Okay. So if one Bitcoin can be exchanged by other Bitcoin, what does that make cryptocurrency? Fungible or non-fungible? It makes the cryptocurrency fungible only. Na? One Bitcoin can be exchanged by other Bitcoin. That is, cryptocurrency is fungible. But in the name of NFTs only, we see that it is non-fungible. And that is the major difference between cryptocurrency and NFTs. They both function on the technology of blockchain, but they are fungible. The cryptocurrency is fungible and the NFTs are non-fungible. Okay, let's move on. What are the downsides? There can be fake marketplaces, there can be unverified sellers, and in order to validate the transactions, see, this third thing I'll explain later, but first two things are very generic. That is cybercrime. One does not know from where to buy NFT. Gopi Meg is asking, is NFT intellectual property? Please, I don't understand the question. Please rephrase it. Okay. Now, until then, see, fake marketplaces and unverified sellers, these are things of cybercrimes only. But the third thing is that I told you that the nodes have to validate the transaction, and nodes validate those transactions using computation power. They have to solve various equations to come at a conclusion that this transaction is valid or not. Okay, and for that computation power, heavy computers with heavy graphics card are required, which require electricity to run. Okay, and since the electricity comes from fossil fuels, majority of electricity comes from fossil fuels, that is why blockchain as a technology is not environmentally sustainable yet. If we are using renewable energy, then it is a different thing, but if we are using fossil fuel based energy, then it is not environmentally sustainable. Now what is true for blockchain is also true for cryptocurrency and NFTs, because both ride on the same technology only. So in order to validate transaction, crypto mining is done, which requires high powered computers that run at a very high capacity, affecting the environment quality. Okay, so these are the downsides of the NFTs. Now this is a prelims 2022 question. I hope you can answer it by using the knowledge that you gained in this section. I'll read it out to you. With reference to non-fungible tokens, consider the following statements. First, they enable the digital representation of physical assets. Second, they are unique cryptographic tokens that exist on a blockchain. And third, they can be traded or exchanged at equivalency and therefore can be used as a medium of commercial transactions. Now students, see, when you look at the options here, you know that if you can find just one wrong statement, then you get 2 marks in your prelims examination. 2 marks of your prelims examination can come just by identifying wrong statement in this. So please identify which one is the wrong statement. Until then, I'll address the query. Sir, NFT is same as intellectual property. No, intellectual property is a different thing. NFT is a different thing. NFT is a technology. Okay, intellectual property is something that a person owns because they have done research on that. Okay. Miss Shreya Dikshit is saying third statement is wrong. Kirti is also saying third statement is wrong. Rushi is also saying third is wrong. 2021 is also saying third is wrong. Very good. Your concepts are very clear. They cannot be traded or exchanged at equivalency. Just because you know the meaning of non-fungible, you gain 2 marks in prelims examination. Just because you know the meaning of word non-fungible, and this is how you can crack prelims. Okay, yes, all of you are correct. Very good. So again, the third statement is wrong and 1 and 2 are correct answer. That is, the A is the correct answer. And for more information, please check out the description for answer. I'll put it in the description. Anyway, we have discussed Fed rate hike, we have discussed election of President of India, and we have discussed non-fungible tokens. Now we will quickly discuss two more concepts. That is, first is of Nano Urea. It came in news when there was our president, honorable prime minister, inaugurated a plant at Kalol, Gujarat. A Nano Urea liquid plant at Kalol, Gujarat was inaugurated. It was established by IFFCO, that is Indian Farmers Fertilizer Cooperative Limited. Now let's see what Nano Urea is. Before understanding Nano Urea, first we have to understand what urea is, and before that we have to understand what is the need of urea. Okay, let's see. See, before Green Revolution, what used to happen is that the farming in India, agriculture in India was not that intensive. But after Green Revolution, the crops were grown cycle after cycle. That land was not being left followed to regain that nutrients, and plants need nutrients to grow. Plants need both macro and micronutrients to grow. Micronutrients are needed in small quantities and macronutrients are needed in large quantities, as the name suggests. Okay. In macronutrient, there are primary nutrient and then there are secondary nutrient. The primary nutrient are three: nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus. I beg your pardon. Nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus, that is NPK. And then there are secondary nutrients called calcium, magnesium, sulfur, and then there are micronutrients. Our focus has to be on nitrogen here, because nitrogen is a primary nutrient, a macronutrient. It is needed by plants for various of its functions, such as it is a major component of chlorophyll. It is a significant component of nucleic acid in DNA. It is an essential part of living cells. Okay, it is an essential part of living cells. It is a component of adenotriphosphate, ATP, or the energy unit, energy currency of the cell. And then it stimulates root growth and crop development for uptake of other nutrients as well. That means that if nitrogen is not being given to the plant at right quantities, then it will not be able to benefit from other nutrients as well. So this is how important nitrogen is for the plant. And nitrogen is provided for the plants using nitrogen releasing fertilizer, one of which is urea. Okay. What is urea? It is essentially a nitrogen releasing fertilizer that is required to replenish the nutrients of the soil after it has been harvested, after it has been taken up by the crops that have been harvested. Okay, it looks like a white powder. I beg your pardon. It looks like a white powder and has a chemical formula that you can see here. So there are some problems related to the urea usage in our country. Okay. The first thing is that conventional urea usage is done using 45 kg or 50 kgs bag. Okay. And these bags are heavily subsidized. For example, in the budget of this year only, there is a subsidy provided of around rupees 63,000 crores. Rupees 63,000 crores subsidy for urea fertilizers only. And why urea fertilizers having such high subsidy? Because urea is the most consumed, it is the most produced and the most imported fertilizer in India. Okay, do you understand it till now? So it is the most produced, most consumed and the most imported fertilizer in India. The subsidy is provided this. And why the subsidy is provided? Because a urea bag cost around rupees 3,500 to rupees 4,000. Rupees 3,500 to rupees 4,000 in the international market. And because of this subsidy, the farmer can get this bag at rupees 300 rupees only, around rupees 300. And now the farmer is getting this urea fertilizer at highly subsidized rate. They overuse it because they think we are applying fertilizer only to our fields. No, so might as well use more to get more productivity of the crops. But this is not true. See, this conventional urea fertilizer has the utilization efficiency of 30 to 40% only. 30 to 40% only. Now, if it is having a utilization efficiency of 30 to 40% only, where is the rest of 60 to 70% going? It is being washed away by water into the water bodies. It is getting into the atmosphere. Okay, now when this fertilizer, this nitrogen fertilizer gets into the atmosphere in the form of nitrous oxides, it leads to pollution. It leads to greenhouse, because NOx, that is nitrous oxide, is a greenhouse gas as well. So it is leading to climate change. And when this fertilizer, this urea fertilizer, is washed away to a nearby water body, it leads to water pollution. Water pollution in the form of increasing nitrate concentration that can impact the health of people nearby. Okay. Furthermore, this urea can lead to eutrophication. It can lead to something called eutrophication. What is eutrophication? Do you know, students? Please type yes or no so that I may explain it. Okay. Some of you know what is eutrophication is. It is simply the overgrowth of algae on water bodies, and when you might have seen water bodies covered with a layer of green color, you must have seen them when traveling. There are many water bodies like that. That is, when this fertilizer goes into water bodies, it increases the nutrient concentration in that, because of which algae covers the water surface. Now when algae is covering the water surface, two things happen. First, the sunlight is not able to penetrate into that water body. So it will impact the photosynthetic underwater plants. First thing is that, okay. The second thing is the biological oxygen demand. When these algae die, they go into the water body and their decomposition starts taking place. Decomposition requires oxygen. In conditions of aerobic, in aerobic condition, it consumes oxygen, and the oxygen is taken out of the water, which reduces the amount of dissolved oxygen in that water bodies. So first thing is sunlight is blocked. Second thing is dissolved oxygen in water comes down, which is very detrimental to the biodiversity in that water body. So two things happen. Okay, it also affect the pH of soil. That soil may become acidic or basic. Okay. So this is how it is leading to environmental pollution. It is leading to environmental pollution. What? The overuse of urea fertilizer. Okay. Now let's see how nano urea can address this problem. First, see, urea and nano. Always try to break the words into 2 or 3 so that you may understand the concept. You have understand the concept till now? Please type yes or no. Okay. So nano simply means something that is at the scale of 10 ki power minus 9 meter. Such as centimeter, it is the scale of 10 ki power minus 2 meter. We have millimeter, that is at the scale of 10 ki power minus 3 meter. Similarly, we have nanometer, that is at the scale of 10 ki power minus 9 meter. So the particles that are at such a scale, we call them nanoparticles. Nanoparticles. And these nanoparticles, they make up nanomaterial. They make up nanomaterial. Okay. So nano urea essentially means that the particles of that urea component is at very small scale. Essentially, they are around 32 nanometer. 32 nanometer. The second thing is that the conventional urea fertilizer, the white powder that I showed you, one particle of this fertilizer is around at the scale of 1 millimeter. So around one particle of conventional urea can contain 55,000 particles of nano urea. Now students, when the size of a particles they shrink down, it essentially means that the surface area to volume ratio increases. Surface area to volume ratio increases. Okay, let's see. First thing is that the nano urea has a very small size. You can spray it. When you can spray it on plants, they can be absorbed by the leaves of the plants. Okay, because they have such a small size, they can be absorbed by the stomata of a plant even. So their application is easier. Second thing is that this nano urea comes in liquid form, that is 500 ml of bottle, that is one bottle of nano urea of 500 ml, it is essentially equivalent to one bag of conventional urea. So students, please tell me in the comment box whether it is easier to store one bottle or one bag, whether it is easier to transport one bottle or one bag, which has easiest logistics according to you. One bottle is easy, sir. Okay. What about others? Okay, good. Please keep answering, students. Only then you will be interested in the topic. So, one bottle is easier to transport and storage. So, nano urea, liquid nano urea essentially has easier logistics as compared to conventional urea. That is the first thing. Second thing is that it is easier to apply. You can apply nano urea using drones. So, these are the advantages. Furthermore, let's talk about the efficiency of the fertilizer. We saw the conventional urea has a utilization efficiency of 30 to 40%, but nano urea has efficiency of 80 to 90%. So students, it essentially means that the pollution that was occurring because of running away of fertilizer, it will not take place with nano urea because it has higher utilization efficiency. Do you understand or not? Gopi Meg is asking, sir, how much kg in one bag? One bag actually has 50 kg. Recently it has been reduced to 45 kg, but in some places it's still 50 kg. Okay. Anyway, so use efficiency of nitrogen fertilizer, use efficiency of nano urea is greater. That is by the pollution because of urea is not taking place in nano urea liquid. Okay. Now the second thing that you need to see is that the liquid nano urea is cheaper. It is around rupees 240 rupees for a bottle, and the bag comes out to be around rupees 300. But the thing that you have to notice here is that that bag is heavily subsidized, while this bottle has been indigenously developed by our country only, without subsidy. Okay, so this will improve the fiscal standing of the government, because the subsidy that it has to provide on fertilizer will come down. Furthermore, we also saw that how urea is the most imported fertilizer. Now, as we are increasing our Atmanirbharta in terms of urea, we can also say that import bills will come down. The second advantage. First economic advantage is that the fiscal standing of our government will improve. The second is that the import bills will come down. Okay, so these are the two economic advantages. This is an infographic that has been released by the IFFCO Nano Urea liquid by the IFFCO. It says that it will reduce input cost, it is environment friendly, improves nutritional value, increases farmers' income, and enhances crop productivity cheaper than conventional urea. All these advantages has been talked about by us. Okay, has been discussed by us. Now let's move on to the last news that is related to the FATF. It is one of the latest news, that is the Pakistan is trying to get out of its grey list, and recently the news has come that the Pakistan stays on the FATF grey list subject to on-site verification. Let's see. See, money laundering is an international menace. What happens in money laundering? That there are crimes taking place across the world. Some are smuggling people, some are smuggling drugs. Okay. Now what happens that illegal proceeds, when they come to those who are doing crimes, they can't use that money just like that. They have to launder money. What does laundry means? It means you have to wash the dirty money to get clean money. Okay, to get clean money. Mr. Zeal Taylor, I'll repeat it at the end of the class. Okay, first let me finish this topic. Anyway, so let's see how money laundering works. There is a collection of dirty money. That dirty money is placed in a financial, institution, okay, through cash transactions or making some business that may seem legitimate but has been established specifically for money laundering. Okay, so this is the first stage of money laundering.
By the way, money laundering has been specifically mentioned in the UPSC GS3 syllabus, so please understand it carefully. Moving forward, the placement is done. Now, in layering, what the owner of that dirty money tries is to distance himself or herself from that money, and that is where the money goes international. It is revolved around the world through various fault transactions, and finally it is integrated into the domestic economy, so that the person who did crime, they can use that illegal proceeds. Okay, funds re-enter the legitimate economy. This is what money laundering is. Now see, like climate change, money laundering is also a global menace. Now when there is a global menace, we need to have an international organization to address that challenge, and that organization in this case is FATF, that is Financial Action Task Force. Okay students, Financial Action Task Force. The first thing that you need to know about this organization is that it is the global money laundering watchdog, and it also sees the terrorist finance does not happen in the economy of any country. Okay, its secretariat is located at OECD headquarters in Paris, and as the policy making body, FATF works to generate the necessary political will to bring about national legislative and regulatory reforms in these areas. Okay, which areas? Anti money laundering and terror financing. ठीक है? It was established in 1989 during G7 summit in Paris. Okay. These are the essentials that you should be knowing about Financial Action Task Force, that is FATF. Now let's move on. What does FATF do? FATF क्या करता है? They help the authorities to go after the money of criminals dealing with illegal drugs, human trafficking and other crimes. See, there is a saying, if you follow the trail of money, you can catch the culprit or the person who is doing crime. So this is what FATF is doing. See, if you can curb terror financing, then where will the terrorists get their money to buy arms and ammunitions? So if you go after terror financing, then you can reduce terrorism in the world. That is what our government is also doing. Okay, Enforcement Directorate is working day and night to curb the terror financing. Okay, so FATF essentially does the same job to curb money laundering and terror financing. How does it do? कैसे करते हैं ये अपने goals? ठीक है? First, let's see. It has two lists, grey list and black list. Grey list are those countries that are safe havens for money laundering and terror financing. ठीक है? And black lists are essentially those countries who actually support the terror financing and money laundering. There are only two countries in blacklist. The first is Iran and the second is North Korea. And the grey list has Pakistan presently in it. ठीक है? What is the consequence of having or being in the grey list or the blacklist? The first consequence is economic. ठीक है? The World Bank, International Monetary Fund will not be willing to offer you loans, offer you any finance if you are in the grey list or blacklist. First thing is that. Even the investors, they would not want to invest in that country which is supporting or is acting as a safe haven for the money laundering activities, because they see, first maybe a moral point of view, but second is that their investments are at risk. They do not know whether their investments are being used for legitimate means or non-legitimate means, illegitimate means. That is why investors will also spook away. So being in a grey list or blacklist has huge economic repercussions. Okay. That is why Pakistan is doing everything in its might to get out of grey list. Okay. Now, who are the members of FATF? Financial Action Task Force have 39 members, जिसमें 2 regional organizations भी हैं. First is European Commission and the second is Gulf Cooperation Council. European Commission and Gulf Cooperation Council. ठीक है? And there are 39 members, including India. India should be here somewhere. Yes, including India. ठीक है? And China is also here. The decisions are taken by consensus, by the way. Anyway, there is one FATF observer we need to understand, then that is Indonesia. that is Indonesia. ठीक है? So, do you understand about the FATF as an organization? Yes or no? Please type in the comment box. Okay. What about other students? Do you understand about FATF? It's a very important organization and it has been in news. You can mention this organization in your any answer related to internal security. And our government is doing everything to improve its standing in FATF and keep the Pakistan in grey list. Okay. So yes, I can see that you all understand the FATF as an organization. Now there is the practice question. Practice question. Consider the following statements regarding the Financial Action Task Force. First is, it is an intergovernmental body with headquarters in Paris, France. And second is, two regional organizations, namely the Gulf Cooperation Council and European Commission, are the permanent members of FATF. Okay, please answer this question. To those who are watching this video at a later time, please answer in the comment box below, and those who are live, please answer in the chat box. Both 1 and 2, Miss Kirti is saying that yes, both 1 and 2. We just learned how there are two regional organizations, European Commission and Gulf Cooperation Council. ठीक है? So, headquarters in Paris, France only. Okay. So, I see that all of you are answering right answer, are giving me right answers most of the time. So I can see how much clarity is there in your knowledge and understanding till now. Please keep working hard like this only. Okay. So we have reached the end of our session and I hope you had a great experience, great learning experience in this session. I want to thank you all for listening. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Recording stopped.